This meeting is being recorded.
Well, I'm delighted to say that joining me on the Godcast today is Patti Boulaye, OBE. Now, Patti will be a familiar face to many people. She's had a wonderful career in the music and entertainment industry. Patti, it's fabulous to welcome you to the Godcast. How are you?
Thank you, Alex. I'm very well. Can't complain.
Whereabouts are you? Where's home, Patti, these days?
Oxfordshire, near Abingdon.
Okay, and as we record this early October, what's the weather like in Oxfordshire today? It's pouring down with rain in Lancashire.
Well, it's threatening to pour down with rain, but no, it's just quite windy outside, actually.
Yeah.
Very windy. Yeah, it's been windy all morning. I think there's a hurricane somewhere, Hurricane Ian or something. And I think we're just getting a little bit of it because it's really windy. More wind. It's windier than it usually is, but it's nice and warm, which is amazing.
Yeah. Well, thanks for coming on the Godcast, Patti. We're just going to have a little look back at your career and also what's coming up as well. And I guess 1978 feels like quite a long time ago when it all kind of happened on New Faces. What's your recollections of those days, Patti?
Oh gosh, it's kind of bittersweet, because when I went on New Faces, it was a week after I lost my brother in a plane crash, and so it was a great memory, but really sad in a sense. You know what I mean? It's kind of tinted with the plane crash. Yeah.
How did you get through that? That must have been quite overwhelming for you back then.
It was, but I tell you what, I got so angry with God for the first time. I was infuriated with him, and then I thought, how dare you? But of course, a few months later, I lost another brother. So you cope. I mean, to be honest with you, prayer is. My mother's like a prayer warrior, really. I was the seventh of 9 children.
Yeah.
So she had a lot of children to protect, especially when we were in a civil war, and we learned to pray. That's my first port of call, so to speak. But then, you worry. I worried, okay, I lost a brother, but I was thinking of my mother who lost a son.
Yeah. But you lost two brothers in a very short space of time.
Yes.
Just when you say you got angry with God, Patti, how did that resonate? What was happening? Were you getting angry at other people, but through your anger to God? Were you just explain that to us?
Okay. Well, actually, I've always had this relationship with God. It's a long story. During the civil war in Nigeria, I just saw so many dead bodies and so many terrible things that when we got home, my mother would say, God has a reason. Let's leave it in his hands. I never questioned that because I never questioned my mother. And so if she said God had a reason, God has a reason. And I've always grown up like that. Then I found myself in the UK, far from home. You had to book a phone call if you wanted to speak to family. You had to book the call literally 2 weeks beforehand. And by the time I get to speak to my mother, the problem is really gone by, quite honestly. And so I learned to pray. And I didn't only learn to pray, I learned to imagine the Lord Jesus right next to me all the time. And then I got greedy. Then I wanted Archangel Michael. I wanted all the ministering angels. I got greedier as the years went by. I asked for more and more. But yeah, I mean, to be honest with you, I don't know how people who don't have faith cope. I really don't know. Because life for me, finding myself in show business, something totally alien to me at the age of 16. Ah, it could only have been God, to be honest with you, Alex.
Yeah.
When I look back in my life, it's goodness and mercy all the way.
How lovely.
Incredible.
What a lovely thing to say.
No, it's been goodness and mercy all the way.
Yeah. Because as you're dealing with the trauma of losing your loved ones, you're on the flip of the coin, you're experiencing absolutely massive success, aren't you? You become a household name, and you're on TV shows, and everybody knows who you are. Was that difficult for you to go from living in relative anonymity to becoming a very famous face on the telly?
Oh, wow. Alex, these questions. Okay, I tell you what. After New Faces, I went off to Nigeria to my brother's funeral, after the plane crash. When I came back, they had aired the program, and it had such an impact, which I didn't even know anything about. So when I arrived at the airport, there were photographers, and I thought maybe I had some kind of superstar walking behind me. That was a lot of the photographs was me doing this, looking for who it was they were trying to photograph. But I've always taken everything in my stride. My mother taught us something I think is important, and I tell my audience now. She taught me how to be a good judge of character. She said, always look at a person's spirit. Do not look at what they're wearing, what they do, how rich they are, how good looking they are. Because she said, even the devil can have all these things. She said, you need to tap into the spirit of the person. I don't know if that affected me one way or the other, but it's a terrible thing to say, but it seemed it was just God's wish, and that was it. And I didn't have any difficulties with it. I didn't have any, um, I was humbled by it because I would have given it all up just to have
Mm,
my brothers.
mm,
But that was impossible.
yeah.
I would have given it all up.
Mm,
I'm always negotiating with God. I'm, I'm always promising. I can tell you this. When my husband Stephen and I got married first time, we got married in the registry office. I'm a Catholic, and I wanted to get married in the Catholic church. And I thought, okay, how this is never going to happen because my husband was twice married before, and once in the Anglican church. And I just thought, okay, the Catholic priests said it's impossible. It's never going to happen. And I thought, why is it never going to happen? Why am I talking to the priest? Why don't I go directly to my friend, my creator? Okay. So I thought, all right, I fast. Oh, Alex, I fast every Friday, have done for as long as I can remember. That is my day with my God, with my maker. It's a prayer fast every Friday. It used to be 6 to 6, but now I do 6 to 4. Well, actually, it's midnight to 4 the next day.
yeah.
I fasted for 10 years before the Lord answered my prayers. Because I said to him, if you could, when you forgive me, you will let me be married in the church. If you won't let me be married in the church, then I know that I'm not forgiven. 10 years, 10 years. And do you know, for our Catholic blessing or Catholic wedding, we had a Monsignor, Bishop Howard Tripp, it's Monsignor Reynolds, Bishop Howard Tripp, and Canon Davis to officiate. And we had special dispensation from Pope John Paul, now Saint John Paul. So you tell me the Lord does not answer prayers.
Well, you were certainly forgiven.
Oh my, I'm telling you, not only forgiven, but oh my God, I can't, to be honest with you, I promised him all sorts of things. I don't remember. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Lord, if you do this for me,
Yeah.
I would do, oh, I can't remember. So I spend my life trying to be good in case I make up for all the promises. I spend my life trying to be kind.
That's nice. That's good.
Honestly, trying not to bear grudges, trying to always look at the positive, thinking, what did I promise my father in heaven?
Well,
But whatever it is, he gave me the answers to my prayers. Incredible. So we got
uh,
married in the Catholic Church.
well, Patty, if we could box up and sell what you've just been talking about, the world would be a much kinder, generous place without any question. Without any question. Patty, I want to ask you about just bringing that kind of new face this time. What was the pinnacle of that moment for you when you was there any kind of real pinch yourself moments where you thought, oh my gosh, I'm performing in front of or alongside? What was the kind of the standout moments for you?
Whoa. Okay. Oh dear. Alex, this is very embarrassing. This is seriously, this is so embarrassing. I have a policy of it is lovely to be put in position and to meet fantastic people. But it is even better to be grateful to the one who made it possible. If you see what I mean.
Mm.
But there's so many special things that have happened in my career. The Queen's Golden Jubilee was one of them. I was on the committee of 12 organizing the concert at the palace and the pageant. I mean, never in a million years. Exactly. Tell me, it can only be God. It can only. I tell you how it happened. I had decided that I was going to um it was after the HIV thing took hold, and my husband was involved actually from beginning, the deals he was doing in America, but that's a long story. So I was one of the first people to know about the immunodeficiency virus and to know that it came from Africa and to know that these two young men had Carpesi sarcoma in California and anyway, and all that madness. So I decided, gosh, Africa again, we just had Live Aid. And I thought, well, I've got to do something for my continent. So I thought what I could do is, anyway, I had a concert, fundraising concert at the Royal Albert Hall. And I gathered 3,000 gospel singers for that. And that was the first time that had been done at the Royal Albert Hall. This was 2002. It took me 12 months, 18 hours a day, 7 days a week. Seriously, Alex, just me and my computer. No secretary, nothing. Because I had decided if I have secretary, if I employ people to help me, I won't have enough for what I want to achieve. And it almost killed me. On the night of the concert, I had 12 members of staff from Buckingham Palace because I had asked permission to use the royal box and I was granted the permission. That's another story. Oh boy. I mean, when God moves, he moves. Okay. And I was told, oh, they don't give the royal box. You have to ask permission from the palace. And this is an AIDS concert. And it's from, oh, Patti, no, that's never going to happen. So it took me 3 weeks to compose a letter, sent it to Major Sir Michael Parker and said, who do I send this to? The palace? And are the wordings okay? Is this the right approach? And he said, absolutely perfect. And believe me, when I was writing with prayers, okay? What people don't understand, anybody watching this, we have two manuals in life. We have the written manual, the Bible, or whatever religion you have. It could be for you the Quran, it could be the Sanskrit, whatever, written manual. But we have the unwritten manual, which every single one of us have, the Holy Spirit of God right here. And that's one, I always tap into him. I always say to him, okay, is this right? Please help me here. Help me. This is pathetic what I'm doing, but with you in it, it will be absolutely perfect. And he never fails. I do the same before every show. And so I did that, sent a letter to Buckingham Palace and got a reply. Yes. And could we have tickets for members of staff, 12 members of staff. It was incredible.
Mhm.
On the night, we had the Queen's GPS there, and he asked Major Sir Michael Parker, said, could she do this for the Golden Jubilee? That was the first time I'd heard they were arranging it. So Michael came to me halfway through the show, during the break, and said, "Oh, so Robin Danville he's actually producing the Golden Jubilee and wants to know if your choir would take part." I said, "Are you kidding me?" They would jump at it. So I went out, beginning of the second half, and I said, "Listen, guys, we've all been invited to take part in the Golden Jubilee. If you can reproduce another 2,000 of you, there'll be 5 of us, great rounded, 5,000 of us, rounded, lovely figure." And tell you, we did it. Unbelievable. And it was the next day after the concert, I got a call from Sir Michael saying, there is a meeting for the Queen's Golden Jubilee Committee. I'd like you to attend. I didn't think he meant as a committee member, but that's how I got recruited.
Yeah.
Incredible.
Incredible. It really is. Patti, anybody who's listening to this will well, if they don't recognize it, then they're maybe slightly blinded. But you are clearly a lady who is about giving, and your charity work has been notable and it's been recognized. And just keeping on the theme of the royal family, you received the OBE. Now, goodness me, winning new faces is one thing, but being decorated with such an honor must have been incredible for you. Just tell us your recollections of getting that news and then actually receiving the award.
Okay, that was exciting, I must say. My husband managed to keep that from me. I don't know how. And it was on my birthday, 3rd of May. I am having dinner. We went to see a friend of ours, an author who came into London, and we were having late dinner after her presentation. And it was midnight of the 2nd of May. And my husband said, "Oh, happy birthday." I said, "Oh, thank you." He said, "I have a present for you." I said, "Oh, good." I said, "A present now I can do with the first present of the day." He said to me, "Yeah, it's an OBE." So I said, "What's that?" Because it's OBE, it's not something it's not a present. Do you know what I mean? So I'm thinking, OBE. I'm thinking jewelry, handbag, new designer, pair of shoes I hadn't heard of. So he said an OBE. I said, "Darling, what is that? What is it?" He said, "As the Order of the British Empire." I said, "What, me?" He said, "Yes." And I said, "What? How did that happen?" He said, "I've been keeping it for 6 months." He said, "I've been keeping the news from you for 6 months. It's been killing me." It was lovely. And I was so excited. And then on the day of the investiture, I went to Buckingham Palace, and sometimes you don't know who's going to present it.
Mm.
And one of the distinguished man in brilliant uniform came into the room. There was, I don't know how many of us and in the room. And he said, "Ladies and gentlemen, the royal that will be officiating your investiture today is His Royal Highness Prince Charles." I went, "Yes!" And everyone looked around and laughed because I'm so fond of Prince Charles. I have met him, I don't know how many times. Actually, well, of course, he's now King Charles III. Oh my goodness, yes. So I got my investiture from the king. What can I say? No, absolutely. God is amazing, honestly. And it was for services to charity and to education, which is interesting, not to show business.
Well, there's plenty of time for that.
No, I mean, Alex, I must tell you, last week I was having dinner with one of my favorite holy men. He is the head of the Krishna Hindu religion. Okay, we met him by accident at the House of Lords about 9 years ago. I was asked to speak on spirituality, and my husband was speaking on spirituality and finance. And what do I know? This holy man arrives from meeting, what's his name, Obama in America, and is now speaking on spirituality before me. I'm going, are you guys crazy? I cannot compete with that. And he spoke for, literally an hour. And then I was introduced after him. I said, this is not good. This is pure torture. Okay. So I started speaking and I said to them, my speech is gone out of the window. Thing I have to say, His Holiness has covered. So I said, okay, I have to tell you how my faith led me in show business. And so I told them how I got into show business and how I was employed just to sing the Hare Krishna, Krishna in hair. When I was just demonstrating, like the whole room started singing it. And I thought, okay, I didn't know it was because I wasn't invited by them. I was invited by somebody else. And His Holiness he liked my speech for some reason, for some crazy reason. And he also liked my husband's speech, which he says he uses a lot. We've been friends since then. And he came and blessed our grandson. Our grandson has, he's been baptized, but um, His Holiness was passed through London and came to our house to bless him. All my Asian friends are going, he doesn't go to people's houses. What do you mean he came to your house? What do you mean he's coming? I said, well, I don't know about you, but His Holiness came to my house, bless my son. And last week we were having dinner with him because he was passing through London. This is how incredible my faith has led me. It's just, I cannot tell you. I am not one of those. I'm not a Catholic who thinks, oh, it's all Catholic or, okay, because I'm seventh of 9 children. And I know that each of us have different relationship with our parents. Therefore, as far as I'm concerned, it must be the same with God. We have different relationships with Him. We have our different journey.
Yeah.
To Him.
I think so. Definitely. Yeah. And Patti, I mean, music is clearly been a vital source of inspiration and verve for you. Are you the kind of lady that likes to dwell in the past, or are you somebody that continues to seek out new music and people who are kind of this generation? I'm very fortunate. I've got young kids and they are constantly bringing me new artists, which I really enjoy. I love hearing new music. But where are you in your musical flavors at the moment?
Oh gosh, actually, that reminds me. That's where I was going with His Holiness before I forgot. I was saying to him that he said he asked me the question about show business, and he said, "How are you enjoying it? How are you?" And I found myself saying, "Your Holiness, I am in show business, but I'm not of it. That I'm not part of it at all." He said, "That is very interesting. Isn't that what Jesus said?" And I say, "But I feel that God has a plan. I wish He'd make His plan known because I don't feel like my other members in show business feel. I don't get married to any kind of music. My father listened to Tchaikovsky. I love Tchaikovsky. My mother listened to Louis Armstrong, Ella Fitzgerald, Tennessee Walton. I love that. And then my brothers and sisters listened to James Brown. I love James Brown. And I grew up listening to Michael Jackson. And now my children now, I don't even know what my children listen to. They seem to be like me. They listen to, name it, Elvis Presley, the modern music. And so I'm finding different, okay, to me, music is the fruit of the spirit.
Yeah, Absolutely.
And I don't believe our, I always say to people, people say to me, you have to pinpoint. I said, no. I said, because this universe does not recognize trend. It recognizes the natural order of things. So I said, the natural order of things is that the music touches the spirit. And whatever music touches the spirit, it will touch me. I have
Mm.
been to Saudi Arabia. I love the music there. I went to sing at King Hussein's birthday party. I've been to Japan. I love the kabuki music. I do, because you want to understand the people, listen to their music.
Yeah. And,
So
and does that resonate in your live performances, Patti? Is it a very
yes,
eclectic set that you
yes.
perform? Tell us what we would get on a Patti Boulaye night out.
Oh my goodness. Okay, right now I'm doing a show called, I'm touring a show called I'm Coming Out. And I explained to the audience, I said, I'm coming out is because I've written my book and there are things about me you do not know. So many. I said, you hardly know who I am. You know, I'm a singer, but you don't know what makes me tick, really. I talked to them about the Civil War. I talked to them about um, my faith. And therefore, in the show, I have songs by Diana Ross and the Supremes. I have a song by Pavarotti, Nessun Dorma. I sing Nessun Dorma. I sing The Habanera from Carmen. I sing Bessie Smith songs, Etta James. It's a mix. I mean, people do come out and go, good heavens, your range. But I never think of it as range. Like Nessun Dorma, for instance, my last show was called Aretha and Me. And I had asked people on Facebook, because she'd recorded about 300 songs. Gosh, don't know where the fuck she found the time. And, I said to people, please just send me your favorite of Aretha's songs. Nessun Dorma kept popping up. And I thought, have people gone mad? I mean, what part of Pavarotti has become Aretha? I mean, how could they possibly get those two mixed up? It turns out she sang it. So I went and learned it.
This meeting is being recorded.
And so, Patti, you're taking this show out and about, and are you excited about being on stage? Does it still get your juices flowing and think, I can't wait?
Oh, it does, Alex. I launched it in London. I first started with Billy and Me because after running the charity, I was out of the business for about 18 years. We built 5 healthcare clinics in Africa and a school with Prince Harry's charity in Lesotho. So I decided to come back to my singing. That's about 7 years ago, and did Billy and Me, and then Aretha and Me, and now I'm coming out, and I'm using kind of the music. What I do is actually draw comparisons between my life and the life of these wonderful ladies. Okay, with Diana Ross, we have quite a lot. We have a lot in common. The stories I can tell, but I use it to tell the story of my life more than her. It's not a tribute. They're not tribute shows. They get mentioned maybe a few times in the show, but mostly it's a way of telling people, because my book is called The Faith of a Child. And it's the way of telling them the stories and things I have been through in my life. So yeah, I love entertaining. It's like giving a public service. Do you know what I mean? I have always felt that when I'm on stage for 2 hours or whatever, my job is to take people out of their, like a therapy, whether I make them cry, laugh, dance, sing, which I try and achieve. It just takes them out of the everyday problem in life, which is why I've never ever missed a show.
Yeah, wonderful. I've enjoyed this so much, Patti. Just bringing the music thing to an end. And kind of terms of Christian songs, are there favorites that you have? I mean, one of my favorites is it was that we celebrated Francis of Assisi yesterday. Is Make Me a Channel of Your Peace. It's just such a beautiful hymn. Have you got a few favorites? Just share with us a few of your favorite
I've got so
Christian
many.
pieces. Too many.
I've got in my show, I sing Amazing Grace. Okay. At my mother's funeral, I sang how great thou art. I love Be Still for the presence of the Lord. You know, it's moving. Oh, I love that. That usually makes me cry. That gets me going. Abide with me. I love Abide with me. God of all faithfulness. I recorded those two actually with the male Trioki choir in Wales many years ago.
Yeah.
It's beautiful. I those were two of my mother's favorites. So there are a lot of hymns. I have to tell you about Amazing Grace. I'm sure you know the story of Amazing Grace, which I tell my audience because Amazing Grace was credited from the slaves during the transatlantic slave crossing, slaves from the Calabar region of Nigeria, which is where my mother was born. They have beautiful melody from that region. And John Newton, who was a captain of one of the slave ships, was so moved by the melody of, the slaves humming this melody in their distress that he wrote this beautiful lyrics to Amazing Grace, which is, incredible,
Yeah.
And I tell the audience, the history. Everybody comes, go, we didn't know that. I said, well, I take pride in it because it's credited to where my mother came from. And they do have quite similar melodies, So yeah.
Fabulous. And this show and your book, are you coming to the north of England? Have you got any dates before or after Christmas in the north that you can share with us?
Well, I have actually. We've got a few bookings. Oh boy, Alex, I wish I got my list in front of me. But we have next week on the 12th of October, we're in Runcorn, which is where is that? It's
near Liverpool.
near Liverpool. Thank you. I've been John Jessup on Merseyside Radio. I've been interviewed. He's such a great guy. And they've been interviewing me quite a lot and repeating the interview to promote the show. So it's wonderful. Yes, I'm coming to Runcorn. And as I get older, I try and keep down south. Because they're traveling. But yeah, we do. We've got some dates coming up next year.
Yeah. Patti, I've really enjoyed chatting to you. I just want to, I'm interested whether you've been to the Holy Land or not. Have you managed to visit that amazing place in your lifetime?
I have not. It's, oh God, thanks for reminding me. Life just carries on. I always wanted to go to the Holy Land. I always wanted to go to Rome. When Pope John Paul came to England to visit, my husband and I thought, he was at Wembley. We thought, I said to him, we'd never get anywhere near anyone there. Nowhere would we, And we thought, okay, we'll just drive. Because I said to my husband, I just want to see him. If I could just get a glimpse of him, I'll be fine. And we arrived, my goodness, yes, there was nowhere to park. We parked miles away, we walked. And just as we were walking towards Wembley, he was coming down in his motorcade. Oh, Alex, something happened. Something happened. I was speechless. I was crying. It was crazy. And I thought, and then I turned to my husband, he was doing the same. And I said to him, my goodness, if we feel like this about the representative, can you imagine what he must feel like to meet the Lord Jesus? Can you imagine? There'd be nothing like it. And that's why death does not fear. I'm not afraid at all. I just say to him, as long as you just say, come, my child. Can you imagine? Nothing can beat that. No show business, no success, no recognition, nothing in life.
I agree. I absolutely agree. Patti, thank you so much for coming on the Godcast. You've got your website, pattiboulaye.co.uk, is it, or .com?
No, pattiboulaye.com.
.com, and people will be able to find the dates on there as well.
They'll be able to find the dates on there. Thank you, Alex. Yes, thank you.
So, Patti, all that remains for me to say is God bless your ministry. It's absolutely wonderful. Thank you so much for coming on the Godcast, and we send our love to you from Lancashire, from Burnley. God bless.
God bless you too. God bless you too, Alex.